The annual survey is a tool amongst a range of tools to gather um, intelligence and information around citizens' rights across the United Kingdom. Um, we wanted to hear them from them directly outside of the formal complaint process through the portal to get a more rounded view of their feelings around their rights, around the IMA, around their confidence levels, and whether they feel like they've experienced a breach in relation to a withdrawal agreement. This is the second annual survey this year. The first one received nearly 3,000 responses, which was more than anticipated, to be completely honest, but very much welcomed. It was just shy of 3,000. And it'd be fair to say the vast majority of those responses were from Western Europeans, Italians, Germans, French, and not so many via Eastern Europeans, Polish, Romanians, Bulgarians. And as many of you are on this Zoom call already aware, there's a particular issue with engagement across all organizations um, with the Eastern European communities, which is multifaceted, including language, access to digital equipment, trust of anything that is seen as a governmental institution. And so we're acutely aware that those barriers exist to reach those communities. And that was reflected in the first survey results, which was um, sort of was lacking in terms of Eastern European responses. The first survey was sort of an introductory survey in the sense that it was partly about saying, here we are, we're live as an organization. Are you aware of us? And a kind of are you where what stage people were at the EUSS, their confidence levels. It was quite a generic survey, and so gave us a lot of information that actually did feed into a lot of IMA work in 2021. So it gave us a lot of information for us to inquire about. For example, certificates of application, the kind of issues around child applications and apparent delays. So it fed into a lot of other work that went into our inquiry team. So the results are rigorously analysed, thought through, and fed into our other investigations and research where we feel it's appropriate. So it is a report we it's a survey that we take a lot of credence from. It's obviously not going to be reflective of all the issues because of the Western European uh, bias, but also of all the other issues I've just cited. For example, we don't have a huge amount of older over 65s engaging with the survey. Again, um, digital access would be an issue around that. Um, Communities or cohorts that you could class as maybe more vulnerable or marginalized, the survey wouldn't pick that up. So in response to your question about gaps, Lydia, we are aware that the survey will not has those gaps. We're acutely aware of that. We released a report on our first survey which makes note of that. But nonetheless, we still feel it's a useful tool every year to do a survey and to gather information around what people's feelings are around their rights in that year. This year's is still open, just under 2 weeks left for it being open. It would It's clear from the responses so far, it's a new group of citizens replying. So over 80% didn't fill out the survey last year, which I must admit surprised us slightly. So most of the citizens who engaged last year are not engaging this year. So in some ways, that's not such a positive thing. In some ways, it's a really positive thing because we're getting a new group engaging with the IMA, engaging with our survey and giving us their views. This year, we have tweaked the questions from last year. They're not entirely the same, but where we can, we've kept the questions the same to keep consistency and coherence. But this year, we tailored our questions to focus more around feelings around discrimination based on nationality. which was largely lacking from last year's survey, a more focus on COAs and whether they've people who have applied for status and received a COA, what time frame did they receive their certificate of application, and a number of other areas where we've posed new questions. But the consistent questions were about the awareness of the IMA. Would they complain to the IMA if they felt felt their rights were being breached? Uh, do they feel their rights have been breached, and if so, by which public authority? And all of which we will analyze rigorously when the survey closes.